He's an early rocker who scored hits like Tallahassee Lassie and Palisades Park in the late 50s and early 60s. This week, it's a 2012 archive interview with Freddy Cannon on the VVN Music Podcast. Hi, and welcome to episode 35 of the VVN Music Podcast. I'm Roger Wink, and our guest today is singer Freddy Cannon in an interview that was originally recorded in March of 2012. At the time, Freddy was releasing his autobiography, Where the Action Is, chronicling his days in music, the people he knew, and the ins and outs of the recording industry. Freddy was raised in the Boston area and first broke into the industry at the age of 22, playing guitar with a group called the Spindrifts. He soon formed the group Freddie Carmen and the Hurricanes, which became popular around the city, leading to his signing to a management contract. His first hit, Tallahassee Lassie, was actually written by his mother and was originally rejected by a number of record companies before Dick Clark heard it and signed Cannon to Swan Records. It went on to become the first of 22 records that Freddie put in the Hot 100, including Way Down Yonder in New Orleans, Palisades Park, which was written by the game show host Chuck Barris, and Action, the theme from the TV series Where the Action Is. Congratulations on the new book. Hopefully you're having a lot of success with it.
Well, it just started, so new now, it's only like 4 weeks old, but I'm sure it'll be good. Yeah, everybody seemed to be loving it and talking about it, which is good.
So what made you decide that now is the time to tell your story?
I think I was pushed by my wife and my kids and just about everybody because, I have a lot of stories to tell. As if you read the book, I don't know if you did, but there's a lot of stories in there that people didn't know, that I worked with certain people and met certain people, and the main thing was that I wasn't a teenage idol. I was a rock and roll singer, not a teenage idol, not a teeny bopper, not any of that, cutesy. I was a rocker, and that's what I want to be, and that's what I wanted to be. But I was always categorized as the teen idol, which I don't think I ever was, and I didn't want to be.
Did you ever feel that you weren't getting the right credit that you wanted as far as being a rock and roller?
Yes, that's exactly right. I never did get the credit. But I think it's going to surface now because I got the book and I told it like it was. I told the story like it was. Because there's so many people out there, they still think, well, he was with when the days of Frankie Avalon and Fabian and all these Bobby Rydells and the Bobby V's and all. None of those people rocked like I rocked. None of those people made records like I made records. My records are danceable, hard rock, and big loud drums. I mean, come on, it's crazy to put me in the same category as those people.
I'd have to agree. I was listening to one of your compilations recently, and there was very little as far as ballads. It was all really big and loud. Right.
So that's what I'm saying. I don't know how I got in that, because I started at the same time as all of those other people. So they just put me right in there, with all of them. They just stuck me in the middle of all of that stuff, which I thought was, over the years I played with different people. And I don't fit in the show with Bobby Rydell, Frankie Avalon, Fabian, Bobby V. I don't fit in the show like that because those people are soft. The music is soft. It's not even Bobby Rydell, even though he sings, he had a couple of good up-tempo records. But the music's soft. He sings, he wants to be Frank Sinatra. He wants to be, they don't want to be somebody else. They're not themselves, and they sing songs that don't. The style that I do, it's like it's energy, and theirs is like laid back. You follow what I'm saying?
The impression I have is that you would have fit better in a show with Eddie Cochran or Gene Vincent.
Right, and that's the ones. I mean, I've done shows, and then the shows I belong into is I worked with Bo Diddley, Chuck Berry over the years, Little Richard, Fats Domino. Those shows, I belong in those kind of shows. Not to be a headliner, but to be a supporting act, because I think my music fits that kind of music. That's where I belong, not the other stuff.
I know you were close friends with Dick Clark and that you did a lot of the Dick Clark tours in the 60s. Did you ever think that those were a little bit softer in the types of artists that he took with him?
Well, he did. He had some shows that were softer, and then he had some shows that were more rockin'. I mean, when you have the black groups on the show, you got to put them in the category of the rock and the rhythm and blues and that kind of R&B stuff. And then I fit in that music because that music is accepted by everybody because they're the one that's laid the ground for everybody else like us, So I fit in with that. He had shows like that, but then when he did other shows with more of the Paul Anka and like I said, Avalon and those people, I went on the shows and I did the shows, but I felt I was like different from everybody else. I mean, I was saying to myself, why am I singing rock and roll? These guys come out and it's like they're getting receptive. I mean, don't get me wrong. Everybody loved them, the fans, and all the girls go crazy. But their music was like, I don't know how to even describe it. I mean, to me, it's still the same today. It's soft. It's cute, and that's the word I want to use. It's cute and slick. And I don't want records. I don't want to make records that are cute and slick. That's the way I felt.
One of the themes that struck me throughout your book was that of family. You credit your mom and dad for a lot of the talent and the support that they gave you, and that your mom actually wrote the lyrics to your first hit.
Right, Tallahassee Lassie. She wrote she had a poem, and she wrote this poem, which was originally called "She's My Rock and Roll Baby," which later become Tallahassee. If it wasn't, and I put the music to that poem. So if it wasn't for her, I always say that. I mean, God love her. I mean, she's upstairs there watching down on me and on my family all the time. And, I miss her. And my dad played trumpet, so music came within the family. It was always around me, some form or some way. Even though my mom didn't play an instrument, she always was writing poems and doodling and doing all these little things that she loved to do. And it inspired me. So, I miss both of them.
The other thing that struck me, considering the business that you're in, is that you've been married to your wife for, 52 or 53 years now?
Yeah, going on 54 years. Okay, yeah, Jeanette, yeah, she's very, very supportive woman. She's been behind me all these years. I mean, I just stayed, you have your ups and downs like everybody else, but we stuck it out, and it's really good. I got a good woman, and she's a good girl, and she's always right behind me and encouraging me and giving me advice if I need it, and ask her for things, and she's right there. She's the best.
I'm sure that it was hard at times, especially when your kids were younger and you were out on the road. I did notice that your wife went with you on the road quite a bit.
No, she went out with me later when the kids got grown up, more. But when they were younger, she would stay home and I would go out. And, that was kind of hard for her. I mean, that's what kind of a woman she is. She's strong. And she put up with a lot of stuff that, forget I'm out on the road and the fans, the girls are chasing you and want autographs and the Temptations and everything, But, we survived it all, and I'm happy that I still have her.
The other thing that you kept coming back to in the book was that you have to have the talent, but you also have to be lucky enough to be in the right place at the right time.
I've always talked about that with different people. I think maybe you'll probably come across a lot of singers and a lot of bands and stuff yourself, But if you look at bands and they sing, you go to some place and you hear them playing at a club or a high school or wherever they're playing, and you say, look how good they are. Wow, why haven't they made it? Well, I got the answer for that. I have the answer, and if anybody doesn't agree with me, they can email me, and I'll call you, and you can call me. But the answer is you better have a good song, because it doesn't matter how great you sing. It doesn't matter how, you can sing, anything. It doesn't matter. You need the song. If you don't have an original song that you can sing and it's a hit, then you're going to have nothing, because it ain't never going to happen. And that's the whole key to this whole business. The song is first, and the artist and everything else is second and third.
I know you had your lucky spots, for example, knowing Dick Clark when he put Where the Action Is together and when you had the opportunity to do the theme. But also your timing wasn't there when the twist came along.
No, well, my timing was there. It's just that it wasn't. I didn't get the okay from Bernie Bennett, who owns Swan Records. I mean, as you read the book, and it's in the book, Hank Ballard should have been credited for the twist many, many years ago. He never got the credit is due to him. And, and I know I love Chubby Checker, and Chubby's a nice guy. But, Chubby takes the bows for the twist and he discovered it and he wrote it, and he just about does everything he says about it, but it's not true. The truth of the matter is that Hank Ballard, and I know Hank and I worked with him a lot out here in California, he's the guy who wrote the song, who sang it originally, and Chubby just copied his style word for word, note for note when he sang it. And I had a chance to cut it. When he went to Dick Clark with the Hank Ballard record, Dick didn't like it, didn't want to play it because he thought it was too black. Hank Ballard and the Midnighters were really a black R&B group, and they had a lot of hits before that song he wrote. So what it was I had a chance, and he said to Bernie Bennett at the office at Bandstand, said, "Look, why don't you let Freddie cut the twist? He could do it. I mean, it's a song that anybody could sing." And Bernie Bennett said to him, "No, I can't. I got Way Down Yonder in New Orleans out, and I can't put it out." What he should have did was, let's go cut the twist, hold it, and then after Way Down Yonder dies down, put the twist out. That could have happened that way too, but he didn't do that. It went over to Bernie Lowe at Cameo Parkway, and then Chubby got it, and the rest is history.
The strange thing about the story is that Dick said it was too black, yet Chubby pretty much did the exact record.
Right, but that's true, and I don't understand that at all. As Chubby's black, but he's more white. He's more white. Hank Ballard's really black. He was really had that. You could hear it in some of his other records.
But the performance and arrangement is almost identical.
Yeah, you're right. It is, and I copied it for everything. And the only thing that upsets me, Roger, is that he's taken the full credit of writing it, discovering it, all these things. That's not right. That's not fair. Talk about Hank Ballard. You got the twist. Hank Ballard's dead now. Why don't you just say, if it wasn't for Hank Ballard, I wouldn't have this. Like I say about my mom, I wouldn't have anything if she didn't write the poem to Tallahassee Lassie. I mean, I'd rather be honest about things and then, fool people. I don't want to fool anybody. So in that case, I love Chubby, but I don't respect him for that. I mean, Hank Ballard was the best. I mean, he wrote some great songs. And every one of those songs he wrote, Chubby Checker covered them. He did them over. There are about 3 or 4 of them in there that I think Chubby did. I don't remember all of them, but he did some other dance things, and those were him that wrote those things. I mean, this guy was a brilliant writer, and he got no credit, never made any money out of it. Last time I worked with him before he died, I worked for him here out in California, and he was going to sue the Oreo cookie company, and Chubby Checker's song was being played for the Oreo, the twist, and the Oreo would twist on. Well, he was going to go to a lawyer. I said, Hank, if you want me to come to court and testify and be a witness, I'd be glad to do it. And he just smiled at me and said, "Thank you, Freddie," and that was it. Then I didn't see him anymore. Then he died. That was a couple of years, maybe I don't know how many years ago before he died. It's been maybe 10 years. So it saddens me because I don't like to lie to anybody or make up stories. I'd rather be honest. That's why that book is what it is. It's telling it like it is. There's no phoniness in that book. Everything is coming right from me.
If you look back, so many of the R&B artists were victims. Maybe not as far as what Chubby Checker has done, but you think of songs like The Clovers' Devil or Angel, and, of course, Bobby V had the hit with it. There are so many examples of that.
You're right. And, I don't, not that I don't, don't like it or not, but, they should have got credit or still should get credit, but they don't. People just forget. And maybe you do it, and when your show, you like to give credit to certain ones, but most of the time, they don't recognize that those people that wrote these songs or originally recorded them and wrote them or whatever, you don't even hear about them. I mean, to me, that's ridiculous. It really is.
You had a really good run of hits back in the early 60s, and a day when there were a lot of one-hit wonders and people were only popular for a year or two. You had a good 6 years where you were in and out of the top 10 a lot.
Yeah, I got really lucky, Roger. I call it luck and timing, like you said, and everything else, worked right. And the songs were right, and but once I remember one thing that Bernie Bennett at Swan Records did say to me. He said, Freddie, he said, the reason you're going to be around for a while, the reason why you're making song records and that people are buying them and you're getting hit records on the charts is because you're different from everybody else at that time. And he was right, because we just talked about that. I was different from all those teen idol people. I was different from all the kind of people that were making records at that time. My stuff was hard, and it was loud, and it was noisy, and danceable and everything. So that to me was the best thing that ever happened to me, because I always wanted to be that and do that. So thank God for that.
Was it Bernie that came up with the idea to cut songs from the 30s and 40s in a rock style?
Yeah, he did. Way Down Yonder, New Orleans was Bernie Bennett's idea. I thought he was crazy when he said it to me. One day I was in Philadelphia at Swan Record Office, and he said, we're going to go cut Way Down Yonder in New Orleans. I said, Bernie, my dad plays that in a band. He's got a little combo, and they play that song. The kids won't buy that. He says, no, we're going to cut it. He said, the way we're going to cut it, he said, they're going to buy it. And he was right. I was against it because, being an old song, who would buy the song? But he did it as a big band rock sound, and the record was like a giant in England. It was like #1 for 12 weeks in England. So there we go again, see?
And I know you went back to those older songs a number of times throughout the rest of your career.
Yes, I did, yeah.
It's hard to even try and talk about all the people you knew through the years. I mean, obviously from the book there was touring and friendships and the amazing people that you were friends with, from Jerry Lee Lewis and a lot of those people you toured with. But I was most struck by your kidding relationship with Elvis.
Yeah, this guy was a really a wonderful person. Elvis Presley was, nobody really knew until you get in the same room with him in his company. He was a fun guy. If he could be open and be out in the street, he probably would have loved that. But, he was so secluded, and being hidden all the time and nothing, it was so much for him to go. But being in his company, Elvis Presley was a jokester. He loved to have fun. He just couldn't do it out in the open. It had to be, secluded. And when I met Elvis Presley the first time in Memphis at this Peabody Hotel, it was a thrill. He demonstrated karate on me, and he flipped me over on my back. He almost broke my back, and I remember all of that. And he ripped his pants. But the thing was, when he turned around and said to me after that, and all these singers were in the room. There was Fabian, Avalon, Rydell, Chubby Checker. You could go down the line. This was a big tour. We had everybody on the tour had hits on Billboard and Cashbox charts at that time. When he turned around in front of all of them and said to me, Freddie, I bought Tallahassee Lassie and I put it in my jukebox at my mansion. You know what he did? He made me feel like 100 feet tall, because he didn't do that with any of the other people, only my record. He liked the record because it was a rock and roll record. So to do that was the biggest compliment of my life.
One of the really amazing things that I found in the book was the fact that you own all of your masters. I know it was because when you left Warner Brothers, it was a part of the deal, but that was just so unheard of at the time.
Oh, definitely. I don't think there's five, maybe the most, between 5 and 7 people in all of this business, everybody, new acts, old acts, no matter who you know, that own their own masters. So I lucked out like crazy. I've talked to so many different people. Nobody has their masters. Big labels have bought them up and own them. Universal, Capitol, Warner Brothers. Everybody owns everything. And here I am, a little record company owning 260 masters of my own records, album cuts and everything. So God has been good to me, and my mom up there, I told you upstairs, has been watching over me and doing well for my family. So, I've been pretty lucky that way.
The great thing about that is that a number of artists who have gone back now and had to re-record all of their music, so they own the master of that music, even though it's not the original. You didn't have to do that.
No, I don't have to do that. And I don't think the people who want to collect those kind of records want to hear another song, the same song done over again. They want the original one. I mean, that's why I think you would be the same way. I don't think you want to hear a remake of Tallahassee Lassie unless it was good enough that the young people who don't know me like the song and may buy it. But the people in our age who are the collectors and the people who are into this music, they don't want to hear somebody cuts an album of all their songs they did before. You're never going to get it to be the same. It's never going to sound right. It's not going to be the same feeling or anything like it was before. I don't care what they do or how they try.
Yeah, and a song that someone loves, they know all the individual little inflections of the voice, and it just stands out.
That's right. You're absolutely right, Roger. That's true.
I know that right now, art is occupying a lot of your time.
Yeah, I draw, like I said, that's nice that you mentioned that. I love drawing, and I do pencil drawings of famous faces and things, and I got some of those in the book. But I like doing that, and it does take some time up for me to do it. I don't know if you knew, I just want to throw this in there. I didn't know if you knew this, but the Rolling Stones, and I don't know if it means anything in our interview, but the Rolling Stones cut Tallahassee Lassie in 1978 and just released it in their album a month ago called Some Girls. Well, they cut the song, they put it in there. It sounds very good. I mean, it's Mick Jagger, that's the Stones. I mean, for them to cover, like I'm saying, it's a rock and roll record, and for them to do it, that's a compliment. Like I inspired them, and whatever the word is you want to use that I did to them in other acts the same way. It's that kind of thing, because if I'm a rock and roll act, then that's great, because that's the kind of people I want to inspire. But the minute I found out that song came out, this was over 4 weeks ago, I turned around and went in my room with my computer room, and I wrote a song called "Covered by the Rolling Stones." Now it's all done now. I did it, and it'll be on iTunes, but then maybe by Monday, maybe today, Monday or Tuesday, it'll be up on iTunes. And now we're shopping around for a label to see if they want to pick it up. It sounds awfully good. I mean, it's a real rock and roll record. It's me, and my son is the band. My two sons play, one guitarist, one's a drummer. And we went into the studio with their band and cut this thing, and you'd have to hear it, and you could tell me it's nothing like the old Freddy Cannon. I mean, the music is like now, and it's rockin' though. It's like a real rockin' record, rock music. So yeah, you can probably get it on iTunes maybe in a couple of days if you got iTunes. Probably Monday or Tuesday you can check it out and search for it. But it'll be there, and I'm excited. I had to do this. It's a compliment to the Stones. That's what the whole story is about. Thanking them, in the song and everything for cutting Tallahassee and all that stuff. So we'll see what happens.
You mentioned in the book that you went to a Bruce Springsteen concert, and he opened the show with one of your songs, but I couldn't find anywhere which song that was.
Well, he didn't play it. He played the record. He played the record. The show that he did that time, it was a tour called the Tunnel of Love. It was a Tunnel of Love tour, Bruce Springsteen. So when he came through the turnstiles, like he was coming through a park, he would play over the speakers before the show started, Palisades Park. I mean, he played it. It was so loud and so big. I went to the concert, and everybody in this place, there must have been maybe 15,000 people out here in Los Angeles in a big Coliseum. Here they are. They're all singing Palisades part. I'm sitting in the audience. I didn't even know if they knew the song. There was kids there and everything, but they were singing it. So, and then he'd come out after that with the band through the turnstiles, and then they start their show. But what a compliment that was, you know. I mean, this is crazy. I mean, that's why I brought up what you said about when we first started talking today about the word I wanted to use was the influence. If I influenced the Stones, what's his name, Robert Plant of Led Zeppelin, loved Tallahassee Lassie, and they cut it as a blues version before they were Led Zeppelin, because I'd seen him in England. I mean, it goes down the line. These people, why is it that these English acts love this song? If it wasn't really a rock record, this is what these guys play. They're rockers, and that's what they like. And so I want to be categorized where I should be, and that's, you know, that the influence was there, and they made me feel 1,000 feet high up in the air.
You know, I'll tell you, doing VVN music for almost 6 years, I've realized that Europe and England seem to have an appreciation for the past that's not really part of the United States. They've taken in rock artists and especially blues artists and have a real affinity for the music. A few blues artists have even moved over there because that's where their fans were. Right,
and they work all the time because the people want to see them. And, yeah, they're the best fans. I'm telling you, they're really into it. I've toured there so many times. They have fun. They love to talk to you. They want to find out all this information. You know, how did you start? You know, with the songs that you do, how did you write this? How did you do this? And they're knowledgeable and they like it, and they want it. They come to shows. They'll pack an auditorium over there because they do a lot of theaters. And the theaters are 2,000, 2,500 seaters. They're sold out. If you did a tour, they would sell them out. There's no question. They can go 50 dates and sell out every date. That's how much the people love it.
What's your impression and opinion of where the record industry is now with the digital and so forth? I know, for example, you're able to get your new song out very quickly.
Right, on iTunes, right, and Rhapsody. That's a good thing. I mean, I don't know. The only thing I think, though, Roger, is against that, and me and so many other singers, I think, you know, there's even singers, big names that are not on record labels, and put the song up on iTunes. Would you agree with me on that? I mean, they can't get a record deal. And I'm talking about 80s people in the 80s and 90s that are trying to, you know, they have no labels now. They had hits. The only problem with this is, and it goes towards me also, is how does a kid, if we're trying to make a kid buy the records, how does a kid find the song? They'll use my song. How does a kid find the song Covered by the Rolling Stones by Freddy Cannon? How is he going to find it if he don't hear it on the radio? How? All right? I mean, that's my question for anybody. You know, I mean, all the answers I'm going to give you, I'm being so honest up front. So that's the only thing that bothers me, is I can tell you about it, and maybe you can tell all your people who listen to you, and you can blog it, and you can put it on the internet, and wherever you're going to do it, that'll help me a lot. But how the heck, if they don't hear it and don't know where to go with it, you got to have radio. I mean, you're right. You got to have a few stations around the country playing it, so the kids say, "Wow, let me hear that. Maybe I got to go to iTunes. I can go listen to it, and buy it for 99 cents for what that's what they charge for a single." And that's the only thing. Other than that, I mean, I feel honored that my song was been accepted, because you have to be accepted on iTunes. They won't just take you. You have to go on there, and they have to prove to them and show them that you're an artist and you did this, blah, 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 back and forth. And they accepted me right away. So evidently, the song must be good enough that they want to put it up. So that's the best thing. So we'll see what happens.
It's unfortunate that most acts today, unless they're one of the 10 signed to a major label, that the only way they're really making money is through touring and merchandising.
Right, you're right. It's been like that for a lot of years, anyways. Up until the end of the '60s, into the 70s. It started way back then. It's a lot of, you'll forget, a lot of acts never got paid, and I'm one of them. When Swan Records, I never got paid. I was always in the red. I always owed the label money and the producers money. So but when I got into Warner Brothers Records, everything changed for the better. Everything. They treated me right. I got paid for records. I didn't have a lot of hits on Warner Brothers, 2 or 3, but there was no question that if the record did well, I got the checks, and they were great. At Swan Records, I got nothing.
I think that if you look at the roster of acts that were on Warner Brothers right through to the mid-'70s, they had to be a quality label because the very best were on there.
Yes, you're right. They were good. Like I said, they were good to me, and I'll always compliment them for. And they treated me right. And at the end, when the deal was over with me, and it was over with. That's when I got all the masters back from them. I don't know if they knew what they were giving me, but they gave them all back to me, and that was a blessing.
Freddy Cannon's memoir, Where the Action is currently available, as are many compilations of his recordings. Next week on the VVN podcast, it's Commander Cody. Remember that you can hear the VVN Music Podcast via iHeartRadio, YouTube, iTunes, Google Play, Stitcher, Libsyn, and the VVN Music website. For the latest news on the veteran artists of rock, pop, soul, country, folk, and blues, go to vvnmusic.com. If you have any comments or questions about the website of this podcast, please send them to vvnnetwork@gmail.com. Our theme music is performed by Yahar. The interview for this program was originally recorded on March 8, 2012. The program was released on April 3, 2017. The VVN Music Podcast is a production of the VVN Network, copyright 2017.